Hi, and welcome to this video about what AI I use. I have two videos of this being the thing where I show what AI I use inside the C# code, while the other one is how I write code with coding agents and auto automation tools. These two videos are recorded August 2026, and I will probably make follow-up videos, but for a while now it has actually been quite stable of what I use. So let's get into it. So for AI inside C Sharp, my providers are primarily Azure OpenAI. Uh, I use that for everything, but I have built into many of my products where I can switch the models out. An OpenAI fallback should there be something wrong with the Azure OpenAI. So I can go into a website, change one setting, and be able to run on OpenAI instead. I also sometimes use OpenRouter. OpenRouter is a place where you can get almost all the agents, including OpenAI's, but I use it mostly for experimentation and not production. In terms of models, we are down to GPT 5.6 Luna and 5.6 Terra. I don't really use Sol inside C# because the different workloads simply don't need such a smart model. That's more for coding agents and so on. And Luna is surprisingly cheap, surprisingly good. So it is the main workhorse for everything I do. If I need something bigger, but not Sol level, I could go Sol, but there's often no reason for what I sit and do here inside the C# part. So Luna and Terra is by far the most used, Terra being only used for some AI PR reviews right now. And when it comes to embeddings for vector stores and stuff, I always use the text embedding tree small from OpenAI as well. When it comes to vector stores, I primarily use Azure SQL Server for production, and for local tools and tests and so on, I use SQLite or in memory, depending on what I'm doing. Frameworks, no surprise, I'm using Microsoft Agent Frameworks for agents, and the parts that Agent Framework can do, meaning images and embeddings, I use the Azure OpenAI Client or the OpenAI Client. And for vector stores, I use the community toolkit.vector data implementations of Azure SQL and SQLite primarily. So this is what I use. And that might not surprise someone who have seen my videos, but I wanted to cover a little more on what all the things I don't use and why. So why am I not using other OpenAI models anymore? In the past, I was a very big fan of GPT 4.1 because it was the latest non-reasoning models. But nowadays, I don't really feel there's any need for any non-reasoning models anymore, so I don't really use them. And beyond that, Luna is so cheap that it's worth doing all the main work. Claude models I don't use, mostly because they don't really have a good small model anymore. The Haiku model is over a year old now. You could argue Sonnet, but it's still too expensive. And also the fact that Claude models only deliver chat models. They don't have embedding, they don't have image generation, and so on. It's all put in from other places. So I don't really feel I can get this package deal like I can in OpenAI. Gemini models, I would be able to get that package because they have everything in that way. And it definitely would be my second choice for inside coding because for the bigger things, they're definitely not good enough. But for small things that are aimed at a ChatGPT 5.6 Luna model, the Google models like 3.7 would definitely be okay. they have a tendency to remove models. So a model like 3.0 doesn't exist anymore. You can't even hit it. You can of course switch, but that's not cool that you need to constantly go in and check, while you can use most of the OpenAI models from way back earlier than that. In terms of other things, Mistral, offline models, Meta's models, the Chinese models, and so on, they are often not good enough, secure enough, or missing types of models. There's very few of them that have a big suite where you both get chat models and embedding models and image models and so on. So that's why I'm mostly sticking to OpenAI. When it comes to providers, I don't use AWS because they until recently didn't deliver OpenAI as models, and in general, I've always felt like AWS being a very confusing portal compared to Azure. It's probably just because I am used to Azure compared to AWS, so kind of legacy more than anything here. Google Cloud Platform, or GCP, they don't have OpenAI models, and it is a confusing portal. Despite I have used that for the various Google APIs, it just feels off compared to Azure. And then others, well, I could go some of the European cloud providers and so on with their open source and so on, but I want to have the cloud workloads that are in Azure. I want my key vaults. I want my app, uh, app registration. So all the things that just are this package deal that comes with that territory. So I haven't really looked into to switching to something, despite it might being a bit cheaper. Then there's vector stores. I don't use Azure AI Search, mostly because it's way too expensive. And yes, it can do a bunch more from back when, before we got vector stores, and can set them together and so on. But it's just way too expensive for simple workloads. And when you just do vector search and nothing more, you don't get anything extra for that money. So for that reason, I don't use it, other than the free tier, just for test projects. Cosmos DB, you can get free tiers, and they're not as expensive as Azure AI Search, but it's just a little cumbersome to use in general. I don't, in general, like the NoSQL movement and such things when we have something like EF Core. And then there's, of course, a lot of others. There's Progress SQL, there's VV8, there's Quadrant, and so on. I must admit, I haven't really tried them. I tend to again keep at the Microsoft stack. Similarity search or similarity search, there might be better things some of them can do, but my loss that I haven't been doing that. Then why is not certain frameworks? Well, why don't I use Microsoft Extensions AI? I feel like it's a little more work that Microsoft Agent Framework. Not a bunch. It was not like, oh, end of days I couldn't use C Sharp and things if I didn't have Agent Framework, because extensions they are quite capable, but given that Agent Framework exists with the extra things on top, I can't see a reason why to go down a tier. Semantic kernel, of course, switched away. It's in maintenance mode. It's more clunky than Microsoft Agent Framework, which was its pure successor. So I have no reason to stay on the old system. And others, they will mostly be non-C sharp, like LangChain and all the Python things and so on. I just like my C#, so I'm staying there. So that is a summary of what I use for putting things inside C# when I do AI. See you in the next one.